Hi, and welcome to another episode of In Brandon. I'm your host, Kevin Spooner, and today I'm very excited to introduce you to my new best friend, Danielle Lewis from the local Brandon chapter of MADD. Welcome to the studio. Pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to hear what you're going to tell us because I got a wonderful surprise at the beginning of this interview. I got a new pin to add to my collection, but the problem is I really don't know what this pin represents. Could you give us an idea of what we're talking about?
Absolutely. So November 1st marks the start of our national campaign for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It's called our Red Ribbon Campaign. So it's an awareness campaign to recognize victims, support victims and survivors, and raise general awareness. Unfortunately, the holidays have some of the highest rates of impaired driving. So right before the holidays, to remind people never to drive impaired.
Such a great message, especially for holiday traveling. I'm kind of curious, though, maybe we could back up and talk about your personal involvement with Mothers Against Drunk Driving and ask maybe how you came to be associated with them.
Yeah, so my sister Taylor was killed by an impaired driver in October of 2015. She was on her way home from university for Thanksgiving, and she was struck and killed instantly. So I joined MADD Brandon an area a couple years later, and have shortly after that became the president of the chapter and have been with them ever since.
So this Red Ribbon campaign is very personal and close to your heart, and
yes.
Does your trauma serve to motivate you to spread the message and to carry the torch for the Mothers Against Drunk Driving?
Absolutely. So I never want anyone to experience the trauma my family went through. And by spreading our message, if we can save even one person, one family from this horrific crime, it's worth doing what I do.
And I can hear how powerful your message is by the tone of your voice, and I wonder, overall, are we moving in the right direction when it comes to getting on top of, let's start with drunk driving?
I mean, I think as an organization we have pushed and made some good strides in some areas. Awareness, working on getting the technology in vehicles to prevent impaired driving. The laws around impaired driving have somewhat increased sentencing. So in ways we have made some positive strides. However, really, until it's non-existent, we have not achieved what we're going for. We are one of the only organizations I'm aware of that wants to put ourselves out of business. We would be more than happy to never exist.
That's a wonderful statement to make, because it's counterintuitive, so it really builds trust when somebody says, I'd love to be unemployed. And it's a neat way to frame the problem. I would really like to get some details about this Red Ribbon campaign. In that, is it a promotional event, or are there activities that people can attend happening in the local communities?
So yeah, different communities do different things. Sometimes there'll be press conferences. We in previous years have done our Red Ribbon campaign in a kind of conjunction with an award that we've done with BPS for officers who go over and above to with impaired driving in mind. There is monuments all over Canada that will be lit up red in recognition of the Red Ribbon campaign. We often have boxes out as well, donation boxes around. Unfortunately, due to the postal strike, I'm still waiting on ours, but when they get here, they will be put all over for donations. And then Red Ribbon, every year, the boxes that we put out recognize a victim specifically and their story. So it is also a time of support for victims and survivors and families.
Wow. It's such a powerful subject that I think I want to lean into just how powerful it can be and give you an opportunity to help us remember the person that you lost.
Yeah.
And let us feel your struggle.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one.
I know.
So my sister Taylor was 20. She was a beautiful person. She enjoyed hockey. We played together for a number of years.
I like her already.
Yeah. She was taking athletic therapy at the University of Manitoba. It's actually why she was late that night. She was doing one of her first practicums. She was getting to go to, I believe it was a basketball game, and so that's why she was late leaving the city. Yeah, she was just a beautiful soul who did not deserve to die by something that was completely thoughtless and completely 100% preventable.
I'm just going to let those words sink in for a little bit. But we do have to talk about the bigger problem and how we're going to get on top of it. And I'm going to kind of have a positive twist in that I have the sense that alcohol use overall, I've read that it's actually diminishing, in that the younger generations aren't jumping onto the alcohol bandwagon like perhaps was done in the past. Do you get a sense of that as well? And does it give you any, I think solace might be the right word?
Yes. I mean, MADD as an organization does not want to say people shouldn't drink alcohol or be using substances, whether those are prescription or non-prescription, but our request is that you don't drive impaired. So that is really the only choice that we are saying don't make. It is encouraging to see lots of different restaurants, bars offering more non-alcoholic beverages, and it's interesting you bring that up. That's actually an initiative that I'm hoping to get happening within Brandon, is that some restaurants or bars would actually provide non-alcoholic beverages free for designated drivers. There are many places in Winnipeg do that. I'm not aware of any in Brandon, and if there are any organizations that want to do that, they should definitely reach out to me because we would promote them in return.
Well, let's talk about reaching out to you. I'm sure there are many reasons that somebody would want to reach out to you, perhaps maybe to volunteer or to get more information, or perhaps set up a sponsorship type of arrangement. How would any of those people get a hold of the Mothers Against Drunk Driving?
So we have an excellent website, MADD Brandon chapter. If you go on there, all of our contact information is there. There's an email, which you'll get a hold of me.
Yeah.
There's also a phone number there that you can leave a message and I will get back to you.
Wonderful. Is there a need for volunteers?
Absolutely. We always need volunteers. And across Manitoba, southwest Manitoba, we actually cover all the way to the Saskatchewan border, all the way to the U.S. border, up to Virden, Neepawa, Carberry. I don't believe there's another chapter till Winnipeg. So we're always looking to branch out our message, but we need volunteers in those communities to do so. Volunteering with MADD can look very different depending on what your availability is. Meetings are once a month, but they're via Zoom. Volunteers are not required to attend all meetings, just board members. We have events that happen all over, some virtual, so really anybody could volunteer. Lots of different options. We have events all seasons. Really our only requirement is that you can't have had an impaired charge yourself.
Right. Not even a pardon? No. I'm kidding. But I do think that just because you've had an impaired wouldn't disqualify you from helping out if you have a reason to be there,
yep.
right?
Yep, and there are some individuals who are very remorseful and have completely changed, and in those circumstances our board would meet with them and discuss, absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine that your volunteer represents probably a mixed range of life experience, and I suspect that some people wanting to, what would you call it, self-rehabilitation, probably feel that giving back to an organization would offset perhaps some of the mistakes that they, choices that they've made previously.
We haven't seen that in our chapter, but I imagine that that's possible, yes.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
But it does bring us to the question of restorative justice and how we balance the need to feel like there's an effective deterrent in place, but then there's never there's never a 100% solution when it comes to deterrence. So how do victims of impaired driving reconcile the lack of deterrence, or what must feel like a lack of deterrence?
So, as you mentioned, nothing will ever be enough. We've lost them forever. Nothing will ever bring them back. The justice system has made some strides from when my sister was killed. The sentencing for death is longer than it was when she died. In our circumstance, however, the individual received 9 years in prison, but time and a half served, so was not there for very long, which as a family was very frustrating and disheartening. We have made some strides, but when you look at crimes resulting in death that are not caused by impaireds, the sentencing is significantly higher than crimes which are caused by someone impaired. So as a victim, it does feel unjust and does feel that you are not deterring individuals from committing these crimes.
To an observer, an outside observer like me, I can understand how it would probably feel like alcohol is a get-out-of-jail-free card, and that would be so traumatic to process that internally, especially after something horrible had happened. I suspect that the real crux of the issue is how to reconcile what, like you said, there's never enough, but I want more. And those two must be a struggle that really tears at your heart, and I bet you it probably keeps you up at night. And now, I say all of that to ask the next question is, how does that affect the people around you, your partners, your offspring, your extended family? What is the bigger picture when it comes to processing such a hard to merge two concepts that are so hard to merge together?
So I mean, in Canada, we are well aware of generational trauma. It is not a new concept to this country. In my context, the trauma of losing my sister affected my entire family, as in my parents, grandparents, myself, my other sister. But beyond that, it impacts my kids every day. I parent differently. And I'm not going to say all of them are bad. I appreciate things and display love and affection very frequently because we know how lucky we are. But they'd never met her. They ask questions about her often, and I love it, but I hate it. It's not fair. She should have been here teaching them how to play hockey. It should have been happening. And it is going to impact how I parent when they get older and they start to drive. I know that that's going to happen for me. I struggled to drive at night for years after she died. It's not a thing I could do for a while. So when they get old enough, it's going to be a struggle. I'm well aware of that. So yes, it's the intergenerational trauma will continue, just as we know that it will.
Yeah, that's the big picture about trauma in general, is that people don't realize how it doesn't just affect the victim or the victim's close proximity. No. It ripple effects, and the ripples they may diminish, but they're always there, and you're going to experience it, because we all know that how much we hate it when we send a text and it's not returned. And if we don't know where the other person is, our brains go to the darkest places.
Yes.
And we have to be aware of it so that we can get on top of it, or it has an emotional cost. There is an impact to our mental health that we have to acknowledge, so that when it happens, we can get on top of it. So a very powerful message that I'm glad you shared with us. But it does now, as any parent I'm sure is concerned, the problem isn't just alcohol anymore. We touched on it earlier. There are so many other different flavors of substances that are out there now. How do we go forward with this new landscape?
Well, and it's the legislation that legalized marijuana came out before maybe those things were thought of okay, how do we measure this? How do we determine if somebody is impaired by this substance? That being said, we have substances that have been around that are prescription for a very long time that we maybe didn't have measurable levels of. But irregardless of the levels, people need to realize that substances, prescription, non-prescription, impair their ability to drive. And if you are on those substances and you are impaired, you should not be driving. There are prescription substances that you should not drive with. It's really on people to recognize that they're making conscious decisions to drive under an influence, no matter what that substance might be.
I remember receiving, I forget what it was, a muscle relaxant of some sort that I was being prescribed. And the doctor told me, now, it's very important that you see this, and he showed me one of the pills. He said, we've shaped the pill into the shape of a house. That's to remind you to not leave your house for any reason. And they did that on purpose, and I cracked up about it, because I thought it was actually a pretty effective way of making sure that every time I used it, I had that thought that I need to make a 6-hour commitment. I'm in these walls, and that's it. Unless, somebody else is driving me somewhere. But it was a great message, and a great way to remind ourselves that just because we think we can doesn't always mean that we actually should.
No, and you mentioned using the forethought to say, hey, I'm going to be using a substance. Do I need to be going anywhere in the next number of hours? If I do need to be going somewhere, what is my plan? Because there are other options. There's always other options.
And this is a great time to talk about that commercial, Plan a Safe Ride Home, that they sing. Is that a Mothers Against Drunk Driving product? Is that an MPI product? Is that a collaborative effect?
Some of the commercials you'll see have both logos, but some of them are MPI driven, yes. But MPI and MADD work closely on some of our campaigns for sure.
It's a neat that they've rebooted the commercial, because I remember it from a while back, and then I didn't see it for a while, and then now they seems to be a resurgence with some fresh actors and some fresh roles. So it's good to see that program is being funded and is an ongoing effort.
Yeah.
Should we talk about advertising? I think we did speak about it a little earlier, but is advertising too much? Or is advertising misdirected in that every alcohol advertisement should, like you say, have the label on the Mike's Hard Lemonade that says, I see the fine print, but what I'm asking is, should it be large, bold letters in your face type of print?
I mean, as an organization, we would obviously appreciate that if different alcohol suppliers would actually have things on, much like smoking has very glaring labels now of the consequences, to have "Do not drive impaired" on their advertising, or it's interesting, in the United States, my cousin plays hockey, and they actually have messages about impaired driving at almost every game that I've been to by the players, reminding people not to drive impaired or not without seatbelts, etc., on the Jumbotron during the game.
No way. That's a neat concept, and I like that you said it was by the players. Mm-hmm. It's not a faceless television. It's somebody that we are
respect, in some cases idolize, for kids.
Right, at the kid level, idolize is the right word. I thought respect might be a little too heavy because, you know, it's more of a sporting event than a respecting event. It's but I like the way you framed it as to the youth. No, respect and idolization is very real. Yeah. And getting that message into a brain as early as possible has the greatest chance of growing into something that makes a real difference. Yeah. We should probably talk about autonomous driving. Did we?
No, we haven't yet.
Did we talk about autonomous driving? I think we should talk about autonomous driving in that some people are saying that self-driving cars are the greatest thing since sliced bread, because now we can drink as much as we want and our car will take us home. But I'm sure it's not that simple. I'd like to hear your views on it.
No. So as an organization, we are excited about autonomous driving in that it lends itself really well to further software that would prevent impaired driving. So in the United States, there has been a bill put forth and approved that all new vehicles will have to have anti-impaired technology in them. And our president of Canada currently, her name is Tanya, she's an engineer, and she was speaking to us that because of the technology in the autonomous driving vehicles, to put in the technology for anti-impaired would be very simple. So it has lent itself very well to our organization supporting anti-impaired technology, which is very exciting.
Wow. And well, the technology already exists to detect whether or not we're even looking at the road.
Exactly.
So it sounds like Tanya has recognized that if we can do that, we can probably do a lot more with it.
Yes.
Which is exciting. And are you excited about having a self-driving vehicle? Is that something that, that would feel good?
That is a whole can of worms, I'll say, because there's pros and cons on both sides. There absolutely is. But as a member of MADD, I am excited that it might lend itself to decreasing the number of impaired drivers and accidents or crashes in general.
Yeah, that's, I think, where I get a little bit of optimism from, is that even though it's not a 100% solution, I think we'd be happy with a 50% solution. Anything that brings down the statistical incidence of these traumatic events has to be a good thing, I would assume.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. At this point, I would be curious what overall message MADD would like to leave with the people watching us today.
So the big message obviously is never drive impaired, never get in the vehicle with someone impaired. If you see someone impaired, please call the police. Please report it. You have no idea how many lives you might save by doing something. If you are a victim or a survivor and you need support, if you have family that needs support, please reach out to us as an organization. There is amazing people in this organization that get it. They get what you're going through, and we're here to support you. So as an organization, like I said, we're always looking for volunteers too, to help us spread the message, to help support, and we're here if you need us.
I would also add on, even amplify that with something you told me earlier, is that when you report a drunk driver, you don't have any way of knowing if you're actually reporting a drunk driver. What you might be doing is reporting somebody who's having a low blood sugar or a medical emergency that requires immediate attention, and perhaps when their car goes in the ditch down the road, your phone call gets that ambulance there even faster. And sure, at the time you may have thought to form the opinion that somebody was driving impaired, when actually in reality maybe they were having a medical emergency like a heart attack or something even worse. So for those people that think, oh, you know, I can't change the world, or I can't help that person, you know, it's a great opportunity to actually make a difference.
Yeah, and as I said, if you save a life, that is worth a phone call. It truly is. Absolutely.
Well, I think we're gonna have to run out of time now. That's a wonderful message that you bring, and it's so powerful, and I could just talk to you all day. But like everything, good things have to come to an end, and we're going to have to say goodbye. Well, thank you so much again for having me and allowing me to share our message. It was my pleasure, and I hope we can do it again. I hope you come back next year, and we can see how much progress we've made in the time since our last meeting. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Wow, that was pretty heavy stuff, but I like that there was a positive message in that we're something that we can do as individuals to help everybody cope through this trying time. With that message, see you next time.